In today's video, I wanted to get into hypertension and blood pressure. If you didn't know, this is May. Hey there, Lucas Schubert here with Food is Medicine Every Day, bringing you another video about how to use food to improve your health. If you didn't know, May is Hypertension Awareness Month. Hypertension or high blood pressure is a condition that we can really control with our diet and the foods that we choose to eat. So in today's video, I want to talk about the nutrients that you can include more in your foods in order to make sure that you are controlling, maintaining, and reducing your blood pressure. When we talk about diet, usually sodium is the first nutrient that we think about when we think about diet and blood pressure. And sodium intake is important. We should be reducing our sodium intake to be controlling and reducing our blood pressure. However, there are other nutrients in our foods that can actually have an impact on our blood pressure. And a lot of these nutrients we need to be including more of in order to reduce our blood pressure. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about one of those nutrients, and that's the nutrient potassium. Now, many Americans are just not getting enough potassium in their diet. On average, Americans get about 2,000 to 3,000 milligrams per day of potassium, when the recommended intake is 3,400 milligrams per day. So almost there, but not quite, and we need to be including more to really optimize our health and reduce our blood pressure. So in today's video, I want to talk about different foods that include potassium and contain good amounts of potassium. So I'm going to do the top 10 potassium-containing foods that you can include more in your meals to ensure that you're getting your good, adequate potassium intake. Let's get started. All right, number 10 potassium-containing food is beets. Beets and beet greens. One beet contains about 250 milligrams of potassium, whereas our beet greens, about a cup, contains about the same, 250 milligrams of potassium. There are many ways that you can eat beets. You can bake them, you can roast them, you can saute them, you can pickle them, you can even eat them raw. They're great to include in your meals. As well as your beet greens, great raw or even sauteed. Chop them up, delicious, delicious food. And actually, just to consider this, that our greens, all of our greens, not just our beet greens, things like spinach and kale and collard greens and Swiss chard, all of those contain good amount of potassium too. So include more and include a variety to make sure that you're getting your adequate intake. All right, so this is gonna be a number 10 potassium containing foods, beets and beet greens. Number 9, tuna, or canned tuna specifically. If we look at the nutrition label, we can see that this can of tuna contains 340 milligrams of potassium in one can. And this is a great amount to include more in your diet. Now, you don't want to be eating tuna all the time, as there is a risk for mercury issues and overconsumption. So maybe 1 or 2 cans a week is really the recommended amount. But again, adding variety, you can get a good source of potassium. So number 9, tuna. Number 8, an avocado. Now, avocados are so delicious and so nutritious, and there are a lot of different ways that you can include these in your meals. But when it comes to potassium, 1/2 of an avocado contains 340 milligrams of potassium. So by eating one avocado, you're already up to about 700 milligrams. So really a good source of potassium, as well as some other nutrients too, good healthy fats, good fiber. So avocado. Number 8, potassium-containing food, an avocado. Number 7, lima beans, or really all of our beans. Black beans, pinto beans, kidney beans, you name it. Our beans are going to be great sources of potassium. In about 1/2 of a cup of this, lima beans or any other beans, there's about 400 milligrams of potassium. And I chose lima beans specifically because these are one of the higher containing potassium beans. And so lima beans, again, wanting to make sure that they're cooked, of course. If you want to, you can even get them canned, but make sure you rinse and drain them after you've opened the can to make sure that we're getting rid of a lot of that sodium and other junk that may be in there. All right, so number 7, highest containing potassium food are beans. Number 6, a sweet potato. Now, sweet potatoes are really delicious and really nutritious as well. And really when it comes to potassium, our sweet potatoes are one of our higher containing ones, but our other potatoes contain good amount of potassium too. So include these in your meals as much as possible. Maybe you want to bake it, you can saute it, you can roast it, whatever. There are so many different delicious ways to include a sweet potato or really other potatoes to make sure you're getting your potassium. So number 6, potassium containing food, sweet potato. Number 5, a banana. Now, banana is likely the food that you think of whenever you think of potassium containing foods. This has really been promoted a lot about its potassium content, and it does contain a good amount of potassium. We're looking at about 400 milligrams, 450 milligrams in one medium banana. And so including these as a snack, just raw, not really many other ways to eat it. But otherwise, are good, important to know that our fruits, really all of our fresh fruits contain good amount of potassium, but our banana is going to be one that contains really the most. So number 5, potassium containing food, our banana. Number 4, cauliflower. Now, cauliflower has so many different nutrients in it. When it comes to potassium, a quarter of a head of cauliflower contains about 450 milligrams. So likely you're not going to eat the whole head, but you can include cauliflower as a great source of potassium and other nutrients. You can eat it raw, you can bake it, roast it, saute it, chop it into little steaks, and you can make that. You can do cauliflower rice, a lot of different ways to include more cauliflower in your diet. And so number 4 is going to be cauliflower. Number 3, dried apricots. Now, dried apricots are great to include as a snack, and the reason that these are so high in potassium as well as other nutrients is it's really that whole fruit that's been dried down into a small little snack that you can consume. Now, we talked about our fruits contain a lot of potassium, and that's the same with these. Our other dried fruits, such as raisins, cranberries, whatever it may be, dried fruits, are going to also contain good amount of potassium and other minerals. But 5 of these guys contain about 500 milligrams of potassium. And so these are going to be a great snack. They only contain about 100 calories, 5 of them. So again, number 3, potassium containing food, going to be your dried apricots or really all your dried fruit. Number 2, fennel. So if you've seen these crazy guys on your grocery store shelf but you never really understood what it was, this is fennel. Fennel comes in a whole bulb form, and you have the leafy greens here, the fronds, that is really a very strong licorice flavor to it. So you don't really need too much of this, the leafy greens, but also the stems contain a nice licorice flavor, but the more you get down into the bulb, it's going to be a little bit milder for you. So you can use this shredded on any salads, some great fennel recipes, fennel salad recipes out there. And then half of this is going to be about 500 milligrams of potassium. So fennel, a really great potassium containing food, and number 2 on our list. And the number 1 potassium containing food on our list is going to be the acorn squash. Our winter squashes are really, really high potent nutrient dense foods, and our acorn squash is one of those. So in half of this acorn squash, you have about 700 milligrams of potassium. And so just by cutting this in half, baking each half, and using that as a side dish, maybe put some oil on it, some cinnamon, some great flavors, that will be all you need as a side dish. So our acorn squash, many different ways to cook it, as well as our other winter squashes like our butternut squash, our spaghetti squash, those are going to also contain good amount of potassium. All right, so this is number 1 on our list, and we've hit the end. And so hopefully by now you've seen this wide array of potassium containing foods that you can include more in your meals. There is one last thing I wanted to end with, and that was this: there is a concern about consuming too much potassium. But when it comes to your diet, it's unlikely that you're ever going to consume more than the recommended amount. The issue comes with taking a supplement of potassium. So making sure that if you are taking a supplement of potassium, you're talking to your doctor before doing that, and really making sure that you're avoiding any of those adverse effects that could have come from consuming too much. All right, again, my name is Lucas Schubert with Food as Medicine Every Day. I hope you have a great day, stay well, and continue to use your food as medicine to really make an impact on improving your health. Take care.